Let's talk about Nobel Prizes from Australia. You know how many Australians have won Nobel Prizes for their work conducted here in Australia. So there were 7 Australians. Okay, let's talk one by one. The first is Brian Schmidt. Brian Schmidt, Professor Schmidt, won Nobel Prize for Physics in 2011, and he was based here in Canberra, Australian National University. I'm talking to you in front of Shine Dome, the headquarters of Australian Academy of Sciences. So behind the Shine Dome, you see a building here. So this building belongs to Australian National University, ANU. ANU campus is adjoining to the Shine Dome. So Professor Schmidt was an astronomer. So he was working on the expansion of the universe. The universe is expanding is the initial contribution of famous astronomer Hubble. So Schmidt work further accentuated the Hubble work. He did his studies on distant supernovae, and most of his work were done in a observatory very near to where I'm talking to you from. And the observatory is called Mount Stromlo Observatory. Mount Stromlo is one of the largest mountains in Canberra. Well, I didn't hike it, but I hiked a mountain which is higher than Mount Stromlo, and the place is called Mount Ainslie. So in case you would like to know the hike to the Mount Ainslie, which I did, when I was here, please check out right here. It appears. So check out the Mount Ainslie hike. Okay. All right. The next, two scientists is duo. These scientists are Professor Barry Marshall and Professor J. Robin Warren, won Nobel Prize for Medicine in 2005. They both were based in University of Western Australia and Perth. So for the discovery that the bacterium Helicobacter pylori is the reason why gastritis and peptic ulcer disease is causative agent behind this gastritis is Helicobacter pylori. I think it's a very important invention. Because a H. pylori infection is also now linked with intestinal cancers, small intestine and large intestinal cancers, okay, and colon cancers too. So yeah, this is a very important. I think we covered this topic many times. H. pylori infection with this colon cancer in curiosity. Yeah, so their research was performed in Perth. Revolutionized indeed the treatment of stomach ulcers. Okay, and Marshall famously drank H. pylori to prove it, like the Koch postulate, isn't Robert Koch of the German. So yeah, you have to actually prove it that this infectious agent causes this infection. So to prove his point, Professor Marshall drank the solution of H. pylori. Well, not recommended at all. This is an example of self-experimentation, Pretty interesting stuff, isn't it? In 1996, the Nobel Prize for Medicine was awarded to Peter Doherty. So Professor Doherty was again a professor of Australian National University. So ANU has produced 2 Nobel Prizes. Doherty's Nobel Prize in Medicine was for the discovery of mechanisms of cell-mediated immune defense, specifically for cellular immune system. So these are very, very important cell-mediated immune system like T cell, isn't it? And also many kinds of lymphocytes, isn't it? So yeah, cell-mediated immune system of the immunology was discovered, and for which he won the Nobel Prize. Then the next one is Frank Macfarlane Burnet from University of Melbourne. Professor Burnet got the Nobel Prize. The Nobel Prize for Medicine in 1960 was awarded to Professor Burnet for the concept of acquired immunological tolerance crucial for organ transplantation, especially for immune rejection, isn't it? So this work was crucial to prevent the organ rejection from happening. Yeah, it's very, very important contribution. Yeah. Next is in 1973, Patrick White won Nobel Prize for Literature. It is the only Nobel Prize Australia gets which is not science-based. Okay, Patrick White is a famous writer. He wrote many novels based in Sydney, including The Tree of Man and Was. Probably Was is the most famous of all. So Was tells a story of a cruel German explorer who comes to Australia and then transform himself into spirituality. Just check out the show notes for links to this book, okay, and the works of these scientists. Sir John Eccles won Nobel Prize for Physiology or Medicine in 1963 for his discoveries concerning the iconic mechanisms involved in excitation and inhibition of the peripheral and central portions of nerve cell membrane. The neuron. So how these electrical excitation work at the neuronal level. So that is what he worked, and for which he won Nobel Prize in 1963, coming from the soil of Australia. So yeah, these are the 7 Nobel Prize winners who did the work in Australia. Well, apart from that, there's so many Australians who immigrated to other countries, right, especially in the US or Europe or Japan, and won Nobel Prize there. I'm not talking anything about them, only about those people who won the Nobel Prize from the soil of Australia. Well, talking about the Australian Academy of Sciences, I'm talking to you in front of the Shine Dome. There are 10 Nobel Prize winners and Nobel laureates as the fellows of the AAS. Which include, in addition to all the 6 which I already explained to you, all the 6 science Nobel laureates are the fellow. Not the literature, though, of course, the Patrick White, because of the mismatch of the field, isn't it? So in addition, well, there are many other Nobel laureates, including Sir Howard Florey, isn't it, who won the Nobel Prize in 1945 along with Alexander Fleming, the antibiotic penicillin, isn't it? And also Sir John Cornforth, right? Cornforth won a prize in 1975 for chemistry. He was based in University of Sydney. And his story was also pretty interesting. He became complete deaf by the age 20, and his wife helped him remarkably, right? And he even acknowledged his wife, fellow chemist, professor, for Nobel Prize. Well, the wife didn't won the Nobel Prize. He won it, but all because of the wife's support. That's a pretty interesting story. And also Elizabeth Blackburn, who won the Nobel Prize in 2009, is also a fellow of the Australian Academy of Sciences. Based in Tasmania and Melbourne, she discovered importance of telomeres, and telomerase enzyme, right? So telomeres are basically the end parts of the chromatids and chromosomes, and telomere, having a proper telomere length is crucial for life in general. If something happens to telomerase, and if your telomere length is getting shorter, that accelerate aging and a propensity to develop many cancers. Yeah, so that's it. There are 7 Nobel laureates, but in addition, few more Nobel Prize winners are fellows of Australian Academy of Sciences. I hope you like this video. If you like it, please do share and subscribe to this channel, right? Bye.